Hello, everybody. Good evening or good afternoon. It depends where are you. مساكم الله بالخير جميعا. It's really our great pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. And let me just first of all introduce myself before I introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. With you is Dr. Ahmed Banna, CEO of Origin Group and Al Asail Group in Sultanate of Oman. And it will be my pleasure, in fact, to be the host this evening and introduce our speaker for tonight. He's a unique speaker, and I'm sure you will be enjoying this session. But before I talk about the session, before I talk about the title of the session, let me just brief you, give you a background of what we do in Origin and Al Asail and Origin International. Basically, normally we host international speakers such as Mr. Ricardo live, face-to-face, and he has visited us really in Bahrain and Oman and so on, Saudi Arabia and so forth. But because of the coronavirus, because of COVID-19, we are forced to do everything online. But anyway, we are doing these webinars online with the intention to give maximum sort of knowledge and skills and techniques to our clients, participants all over the world. We have almost 400 plus people from different parts of the world with tonight's webinar. So it's really our pleasure to with you. Last week and the week before and so on, we have a couple of speakers. Last week we have Dr. Stephen Bellingham from Belgium. And Dr. Stephen, he is a speaker specialized in technology blended with customer services. He did a wonderful session for that. Anyway, for today's session, in fact, in terms of administration, we have coordinators who are going to coordinate the questions, whether in Arabic or English. We can respond to these questions. We have Mr. Andre in Bahrain, and we have Mr. Marwan Al-Matroushi in Oman, and in addition to our speaker. The topic of today is emotional intelligence in times of a crisis. And emotional intelligence itself is becoming a very serious skills, very important skills. I'm sure the keynote speaker, he will be really highlighting these issues by becoming really very serious, very important skills. And I believe that because of the crisis, it's becoming more serious because, you need really to handle people very, very differently. So anyway, with the keynote speaker for today, Mr. Ricardo, I will not be saying, more about him, but I'll tell you something that maybe you don't know about him, if you allow me, Mr. Ricardo. Mr. Ricardo, in fact, he is a passion person. He's a person with passion. He loves to be a singer one day, and he is becoming now a famous singer because that's his passion. But that has been developed, and becoming international speakers because, again, he has passion towards emotional intelligence and other talks. So therefore, he has a brand called Emotion Talks. And this is why he is really famous in that. He's very good in that. So I don't want to go in detail of that, but I'm sure he will be telling you more about himself, which I know very well, being, close to him. So, Mr. Ricardo, I don't want to say more. I think I said enough. I will leave you your presentation. I will not interrupt you, but I'm sure you will manage this very well. And at the end, if the time permits, we'll be asking you, we'll be throwing a couple of questions that we have in mind, or maybe from our teams. So, Mr. Ricardo, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. It's a pleasure. Thanks for your invitation to be here. So it's a pleasure to be here. And my second word is for everyone. We have right now 127 people in the room. So thank you so much for coming. And so what I want to know now is every one of you, each one of you, 129 people right now, I want you to write in the chat, please. You can see in your right, you can write in the chat, where are you from? You can say the city and the country, or just the country, you choose, okay? So I want to know, where are you from in the world? Write in the chat, please. I saw some people already wrote that. Okay, Bahrain, Portugal, Mozambique, Oman. Wow, a lot of people writing. Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Muscat, Portugal again, Bahrain, Egypt, Cairo, Cape Town, South Africa. Wow, very nice. Lisboa, my hometown, Saudi Arabia, Oman. Wow, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I've been there. Beautiful country. Very nice. Kuwait, from Manama, India, South Africa, India. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have people from all around the world. And today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence in times of crisis and not in times of crisis, because emotional intelligence is important in all eras, of course. And so now, what I want, Berlin, hi Olivia, how are you? And so now what I'm going to tell you is, what I'm going to ask you again to write in the chat is, and before, don't write yet. I'm going to tell you something. I have here something to show you. This, you know what this is? This is a stress cup. What is a stress cup? Is when we are feeling stressed, when we are feeling, when overwhelmed, when life brings us to feel stress, we fill the stress cup. Slowly, we fill it. Sometimes some emotions that you felt. Don't write in the chat yet. Just think about them, and I'll ask them later. Okay? So it's a awareness exercise. Think about what emotions. Don't write it yet. What emotions did you felt or you still feel during the coronavirus? Okay? Awareness. Take a while. Look inside yourself. So now let's go back to the stress cup. I want you now to write in the chat things that in your professional life, okay, makes you stress during this coronavirus or not. You choose, okay? Things that makes you stress. You can write in the chat, please. Let's see. A lot of people, South Africa, right? Okay. Depression, lack of time. Okay. Deadlines, right? Timelines. So tight deadlines, what happens is we fill our stress cup. Okay, what else? What else? Uncertainty. Coronavirus brings that uncertainty to us. So we're not certain if we are safe, physically safe. So a little bit more uncertainty. What else? Not working with learners, the lockdown itself. Okay? So we're locked down and the stress goes up. So as you can see, the stress is going up. So now it's not the emotions. I want things that happen you stressed out. Okay. What else? Well, there's a lot of people. It's hard to read. Let me see. Okay. Fear of losing a close soul. Okay. Whatever. Let's see. Anxiety, health issue, less working hours, more work, insecurity, deadlines, time, pressure, handling the employees. Okay, this is a time where leaders need to handle their team members, right? So that's stressful also. A little bit more. So it's almost up here. The thing is, it can overload. That's the dangerous. Let's see what else. Maybe relationships, bad relationships in your life, right? It's hard to manage relationships in your work, professional, and in your personal life. So relationships. So it's almost there. Are you ready to overload? What else? What else makes you tick? What else makes you go and overload the stress? Organization skills. Hey, if you stop sleeping well, if you don't do exercise, if you stop eating well, that could make things go really, really bad. And this is the danger of stress. You can overload. You can go and go out of bounds. And that's where the amygdala, we'll talk about that later, in our brain, the amygdala will come and makes us do things that are not rational. So now I want you to write in the chat things that make you relieve stress. What makes you relieve stress? Write in the chat. And when we relieve stress, I have another cup, and this cup is the performance cup. It means that when we relieve stress, we focus more on performance. We get more performance. So please write in the chat. Let me see what you're written. Running. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Yes. So performance going down. You went running, you went to do some exercise. Gardening. What else? Meditation. Yes. Goal setting. Yes. Planning. A good book. So you're okay, you're more balanced, but you still have a lot of stress here, right? Walking. Yes. What else? Talking to people that gives us positive energy. Nice. What else? Let's see. Acceptance. You feel accepted. Walking in nature. Nice. Some person here, I didn't see the name, said Bahrain. So Bahrain, beautiful country, right? So you feel less stress when you are in Bahrain. I think that's it. So dancing, yes. So what happens is we have the performance cup and the stress cup. But we still need a little bit of stress because stress is important for us to focus. So never, there's no such thing as zero stress. We need it. So keep a little bit. The most important thing is focus on your performance and keep a little stress, but never overload it. I'll keep it here. Okay, very nice. Thank you so much. Let's see another examples here. Playing with kids that you said, eating healthy, the beach. Yolanda said, spending time with my mom and sisters and children. Iman, reading. Faisal, consult my boss. Florian, being in your session. Oh, thank you so much, Florian. Isabel, hugging. Yes, hugging is very powerful. Elena, to read. Walking. Faisal also. Very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. So now we're going to start the first part of the presentation. I'm going to put here the slides. Yes. So emotional intelligence in times of crisis. So now, remember what I asked you before. I want you to write in the chat emotions that you feel or felt regarding the impact of the coronavirus pandemic in your personal and professional lives. So, just emotions. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish between emotions and thoughts. Just the emotions, the feelings. Let's see what you write here. Anxious, fear, uncertainty, worrying, impatience, said Lario. Hi, Lario. Afraid, fear, frustration, sadness, said Hondang. I know Rivera. Overloading, confused, Shireen, fear, Joanne. Florian, empathy. Fear, okay, nice. Completely lost. That's strong. Overwhelmed. This is so many people writing this. It's hard to see your name. Yusuf said fears. Disconnected. Mariam. We have now 163 people. Thank you so much. Renata said meditation. Well, that was the other answer. Okay. Suleiman said fear, uncertainty. Okay. So all these emotions, it's because we have the need for certainty. And what coronavirus brought us is the uncertainty. So we feel the fear, we feel the anxiety. Of course, It's a normal thing. The first thing about emotional intelligence is all emotions are there to send us a message. And you have to understand that message. There's still a lot of belief that emotions are bad, are negative. And that's the first mistake on emotions. So, first thing, all emotions are positive. The exercise that you have to do at home when this ends is, why are you feeling that? What's really important to you? Your physical health, the people around you that you love that are in danger, your security, the certainty that you want, that need of certainty that everything's going to be well, that you can live your life well, do your work, meet people, hug, like Isabel said. So this is very, very important. All emotions are positive. What might be negative is the way you deal with the emotions. So, like Dr. Ahmed said, my name is Ricardo Cabete. I'm an emotional intelligence speaker. I work with individuals, with organizations all around the world. And this photo was in Bahrain. I love to go there. I love to go to the Middle East. And so I'm very honored once again to do this training, not just for Middle East, now for all over the world. And what I do is I help organizations and leaders to become the best they can be. I teach them to use emotions so they can build themselves, okay, and build powerful teams also. We'll talk a little bit during this presentation about that. So I'm from Portugal, a lot of people from Portugal here that I personally invited, of course, and in my social media also. And my hometown is beautiful Lisbon. Okay, if you've been to Lisbon, please put it in the chat. If you're not from Portugal, of course, it's a beautiful city. All Portugal is beautiful, so you have to come here. Very nice. Do you know any famous person from Portugal? Everyone says Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, but there's more. If you know anyone else than Cristiano Ronaldo, please put it in the chat. Famous Portuguese people, besides Ricardo Cabete. No, just kidding. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about, just do a small introduction, emotional intelligence introduction, then practical tips for leaders. We're going to see a study, a big, massive study conducted in Google, and they found out what are the 5 big conditions for powerful teams. That's very interesting. So stay until the end, so you'll find out what are the 5 big conditions for powerful teams. And of course, practical tips for teams and team leaders. Beautiful city, says Ibrahim. Thank you so much. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, as Daniel Goleman says, is the ability to identify and manage our emotions and those of others, to motivate ourselves and manage our relationships. What I can say, or what I can add, is emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of what we feel, think, and act. And then, with that information, seeing the information, the message every emotion sends to us, then act in a beneficial way for us and for others. Okay, that's the basis of emotional intelligence. The prefrontal cortex, right here in our brain, is the rational side of our brain. Of course, simplifying a bit because the brain is very complex, is the rational part of our brain, responsible for our rational decisions, mathematic, logic thinking. And what happens is, usually we think or we decide a lot with the prefrontal cortex, but not always, because we have the emotional brain that is stronger. We have the symbol for the emotional brain are the amygdalas. You can see only one, but there's 2, okay? Same size, almond size, and they're like our survival mechanism, our fight and flight mechanism. Back then, we have to hunt a lot of time ago, and in those hunting times, maybe we had some predators, threats, big threats like lions. And in those moments, amygdala helped us survive. So the amygdala receives the information that there's a lion in front of us, and then it doesn't go to the rational side, to the prefrontal cortex. We act without thinking, and usually was running. Okay? so we can save ourselves. Right now in the modern world, we don't get lions every day, thankfully, right? But we have different kind of lions. We have a pandemic, for example. It's a kind of lion that can trigger the amygdala. We have a boss that we don't like, a team member that we don't like and has certain attitudes that we don't like. We have relationship problems, etc. So the amygdala, it didn't have the time to adapt, so it reacts to other things that are not really threats. Here comes the emotional intelligence. We have to train our prefrontal cortex so it can regulate the amygdala. And that is amazing because science discovered that it's possible with, for example, mindfulness meditation. There's dozens of scientific research studies that show that. So we can see here with the World Economic Forum that the World Economic Forum considers emotional intelligence one of the top skills, professional skills that you need to work on to be successful and have well-being also. Big companies know that training emotional intelligence is good for productivity, motivation, for increasing profits. And you can see here, L'Oreal increased in more than $2.5 million just by selecting people on certain emotional competencies. And they had a 63% lower turnover of staff from the people they selected. So very powerful. Another study says managers with a high level of emotional intelligence are better at decision making. So now we go for the important part, right? The practical tips for well-being and work performance. I divide this practical tips in two big parts. The first one, and this is the first message I want to send to you, is you have to lead yourself first. Lead yourself first. You have a team, but if you don't know how to lead yourself, how are you going to lead your team? So how do you lead yourself first? First, you have to take care of your health. You have to exercise. You have to sleep. You have to eat healthy and learn how to breathe. Those are the four main pillars, okay? Let's see some practical tips now. The tip number one is the Pomodoro method. Have you heard of this? Pomodoro method. And what it is while you are working, we are all day, most of us work behind a desk, right? Even when you're at home or working at home in this pandemic, you're working behind a desk, maybe 95 or 90% of us. And what happens is we are sitting down and it's not good for us. Our biology, our bodies are not meant to be still. So this method is very powerful and I use it every day. And when I started to use it, I saw a big difference, not just in productivity, but in well-being also. How does it work? First, you work for 25 minutes with a total focus. No interruptions, no messaging, no Facebook, no LinkedIn, no Instagram, nothing, no phone calls. 20 minutes, you're totally focused, okay? Then you stop for 5 minutes and you move. So let's do just an exercise. How do you move? So I'm going to ask you right now. So let's see. 6:24, that was perfect, right? So the 25 minutes mark, it's arriving. So we're going to start now. We're not going to do 5 minutes because we have more to talk, but we're going to stand up. So I'm going to ask you to all of you, okay, put it like this. I'm going to ask you to all of you to stand up right now. Yes. I can't see you, but I trust that you're doing what I'm asking you to do, okay? So stand up, okay? I can see you, sir. You're not standing up. Please stand up. Okay. If you can, okay, please stand up. And then what I do in 5 minutes is walk around. I'm not going to do that right now, but I walk around my house. And then while I'm walking, I stretch. So I do stretching. Every 25 minutes, I stretch. So I don't have back pain. I don't have neck pain, okay? So that's very important because the posture you have is very important to your health and to your productivity also. And you're moving, you're walking. Imagine if you work 7 hours a day, you're doing the 25 plus 5 minutes, you're doing 10 minutes rest. That means the 70 minutes that you are moving and doing exercise just by 5 minutes every 25 minutes. Okay, so I do stretching, I move, and I breathe. I try to breathe correctly. Okay, you can go, you can sit down. Thank you so much for all of you. Okay, nice. So let's go for the next one. Okay, when you go back to work, maybe you look like this. It's just a joke, okay? But the important thing is that you move, that you stretch. Don't stay in your desk all day long. It's not good for productivity. It's not good for focus. By the way, I use an app. I gotta tell you, I forgot to put it here, but I'll tell you the name. You can download it. It's free. The app I do it for the Pomodoro method is the Focus to Do map. Okay, maybe I'll write here. It's better. Focus to Do app. Okay, so Focus to Do app. You can download. It's free, and it's very, very powerful. So tip number 2, it's called coherent breathing. Coherent breathing. It's a type of breathing. It's very powerful, and you get more relaxed. By the way, this is the kind of breathing I do when I walk around in the 5 minutes. So I stretch and I breathe. So the coherent breathing means 5 breaths per minute. You can train a little bit. You can go online. You see a lot of exercises in YouTube. You can train. So it's very, very powerful. Coherent breathing. This means that for every minute you do 5 breaths. What is a breath? A breath is you inhale and you exhale. So this is 1 breath. You inhale, you exhale, 2 breaths. You have to train a little bit, and you'll find out that when you get 5 breaths per minute, you are at the optimum level. And this is a very powerful tool to get you more relaxed. And if you do that every 25 minutes, even if it's just for 30 seconds or 1 minute, it helps you relieve that tension. Remember, the stress and the performance, the cups, every time when you breathe and when you move, you bring from stress to the performance cup, and you're ready again to go. Okay? So start doing this. So Amal is telling in the chat, I use the app Focus. You can do multiple rounds. It's great. Yes. I think there's several apps. You can try the one that you like it the best. So tip number 3, it's walking meetings. This guy here is, on the left, is Steve Jobs. And he was a big fan of walking meetings. So that's another opportunity for you to walk and move while you do the meetings. There's several studies that when we are walking, we have more creativity. We learn better also, so we are more engaged. Another different personalities like Obama and like Zuckerberg from Facebook, they also love walking meetings, and that's very powerful. And I got to tell you something that I didn't do too often, but I'm going to start. Every time I did, I loved it. Okay, but sometimes we just postpone it, right? We just, oh, I'm going to do it, and then we don't do it. But now I'm committing to myself and to you that I'm going to start using walking meetings. Tip number 4, power naps. And so the power naps, Google and Facebook already understood the power of naps. And they even have this, it's amazing. They have this, these capsules that people can go there, employees can go there and do like 10 minutes, 30-minute naps. Why do they have this? Because they know it increases productivity, increases their mood, and they can keep working more hours after the nap, okay? So sleep, and now I'm studying right now the science behind the sleep. It's very, very important. Scientists are discovering important facts about sleep. We don't have time. We can do another workshop about it. But it's very powerful if you sleep well, not just everybody talks, oh, I sleep 7 hours or 9 or 8 or 6. It's not just the quantity. The most important thing is the quantity. And there's a lot of things we can do that daily to improve the quality of our sleep. So power naps, 10 minutes. I saw just yesterday a scientific scientific study that says 10 minutes, it's enough. 10 minutes nap. And if you can't sleep during the day, some people have difficulty, you just close your eyes, do a meditation, and it's good enough also, okay? Iman is not hearing. So I asked my assistants, Origin assistants, that contacts Iman so he can hear, okay? Maybe get out and enter again. I hope everyone else is listening, okay? If you can't, please write in the chat. So tip number 5 is mindfulness. This could be a whole different workshop, just one workshop for mindfulness for several days. And right now, what I'm telling you, mindfulness is being in the moment, not just what you see in the picture. That means closing your eyes, doing a meditation. No, mindfulness is being in the moment. You can have a shower in the morning, and if you're in the moment feeling the water, you are practicing mindfulness. You're at a meeting, you're listening to the other people's opinions and ideas, you're totally focused on what they're hearing, you're practicing mindfulness, okay? So very, very powerful, and you can search more online, or you can talk to me, and I give workshops also on the subject. You're listening, thank you so much. Iman reconnected. I can hear, we are listening. Okay. Okay, everybody's on board right now. We have 164 people. So I use this app, this one I didn't forget, Insight Timer app. I got to thank my friend Lerio, that's right here, attending, that showed me this amazing app that I use almost every day. And it's very powerful. You have, if you want more motivation, you get it. If you want to relax, you have practices for that. If you want to sleep better, you have practices for that. Very powerful and free. Okay, so try it out. Tip number 6, ask powerful questions. So questions, what they do is change our focus. If we do one question, our focus go to that question, or to the result of that question. If you do another question, you get another different question, another result, another focus. For example, if you ask why my team members are not motivated, just for an example. So you're thinking about why, the reasons why they're not motivated. Okay, that's good for awareness. But if you keep on that question and you don't change the next question, you're not going to succeed. Because what you want is for them to get motivated. So you need to change the question to, what can I do so they get motivated? What can I do to influence them so they get the motivation they need? And so I can give you another example. Before that, you can see this. We can solve our problems with the same questions we used when we created them, by Albert Einstein. Tobias is saying, Ricardo, waking up app is great. Okay, thank you. So another resource here that you can try and just figure out which one is best, or use them all if you can. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what do I value about myself? We are our most strong critics. We, a lot of times, even without awareness of it, we criticize ourselves. We need to change our self-talk, our inner critic, to what do I value about myself? Another one, why is he or she, imagine you're a team leader and you have a team member that you think has stupid reactions, incompetent, too aggressive, something like that. If you just ask this question, it's going to be hard to get the answer. But if you change it to what is he or she thinking, feeling, that is very, very powerful, okay? Because what we see is the behavior. We see the behavior, we judge and say it's stupid, but behind the behavior, there's always a need. There's always a thought. There's always an emotion. So when we think about that, we try to connect. We connect more, we understand. We don't have to accept the behavior, but we can understand why. And then if we understand, we can connect to the person, talk to them, and maybe help them change their behavior. Maybe. You can't change someone that doesn't want to be changed, okay? That's for sure. Next one, why is it raining during my vacations? Did it happen to you already? It happened to me for sure. And what happens is we get stuck with these questions. Why is it raining? You're not going to get the answer. Why is it raining? Well, because it's raining. Maybe you can ask, what can I do to make this fun? What can I do to make this fun, right? And if you ask this question, maybe and probably you'll get one or more answers that you can apply. If it's 2 or 3 people, you can brainstorm and get things to have fun while it's raining. Because emotions, what we feel, it's in our control. Okay? We can change the thoughts. Every thought generates an emotion. If I think, why is it raining during my vacations? I might feel sad or frustrated. If I think, what can I do to make this fun? I might feel curious. Okay, curious. It's better than sad, right? In that situation, at least. Netflix to the rescue, says Afnan. Instead of asking, when will this pandemic end? Ask, what can I do to feel good and help others overcome this difficult moment? Tip number 7 is focus on what you can control, leave what you can't. So it's kind of similar with the questions, because the questions help you apply this tip, right? The questions change your focus. Ask questions about things you can do, not about things that you can't control, like when this pandemic ends, or when will you can hug your parents, or something like that, okay? You don't have control mainly on that. So we're about halfway the presentation, and I want you to know that I'm going to do with Origin 2 days workshop, online workshop. This one that you're attending right now, it's free. This one will be paid. Will be paid, but it will be more extensive. We're going to do more exercise with less people. It's going to be more powerful. Only maybe 20, 30 people around that. So only for the people that are in this workshop, we have an offer. It's a 20% discount only for right now, to the people that came to this workshop. So you can see there in the right, you can see the button to register. The workshop will be called Leading with Emotional Intelligence. Okay, it's mainly for leaders, people that want to overcome the challenge. And what challenges are they? You can see in the PowerPoint presentation. We're going to see how emotional intelligent teams boost sales, the 4 undervalued power habits of productivity, how to make stress work in your favor, very powerful also, how to use appreciation to increase team motivation, because people know that appreciation is good, right? But how to do appreciation is very hard. Why? Because different people like to receive appreciation in different ways. And that's the key, okay? That's where it works. Then conflict resolution, powerful negotiation techniques, and the 6 styles of leadership and the buffalo attitude. So it's a very powerful workshop. I hope you can make it. If you want to go there, if you want more information, it's going to be in June. We don't have dates yet. It's in June. We're waiting for the final dates. And if you want to know the price and get the 20% discount, just press register now. Okay, let's go on. So now, lead yourself is the first thing. Let me just take this out. Okay. At the end of the presentation, going back to this offer, at the end of the presentation, we're going to put the offer again. Okay, so don't worry if you didn't have the time to register. we're gonna put it again. Okay. If you want to know how much, you just press it there, and all the information is there. You can contact Origin that it's organizing everything. Okay. What I can guarantee you is 20% discount. Okay, right now. So lead yourself first, and then lead your team. Now you can lead your team. We're going to see this Google study, high performance study. In this study, more than 250 attributes were studied, conditions for a team to succeed. More than 180 Google teams were studied also. And they found out the 5 main conditions for high performance teams. So I'm going to show you right now the condition number 1. There was ranked number 1 to have high performance teams, and that was psychological safety. Psychological safety is very important. And then you ask, what is psychological safety? Imagine you're a team leader. You have members of your team, and every time they're going to talk, they are afraid to be criticized. And so what they do is they don't talk, or they have ideas, but they're kind of afraid to be criticized, or maybe it's not going to be accepted. They're not really at ease to do it, so they don't do it. They're afraid of judgment, so they're not themselves. They don't embrace vulnerability. And when that happens in a team, what happens is productivity goes down, creativity goes down, etc., etc. Productivity and profits also. So that's what they realize. The most important team condition for high performance teams is psychological safety. And so these are the other 4: dependability, structure and clarity, meaning and impact. In this workshop, this is a lot to cover. In this webinar, we're going to cover only the first one, psychological safety. That means how to create psychological safety in your team. There's a lot of things you can do. We're going to cover 2 or 3 things. Okay. The first tip number 8 is be vulnerable. And what I'm talking here, and until the end, we're going to talk about psychological safety. Okay. So be vulnerable is very, very important for psychological safety. Leaders that don't admit their mistakes to their team members have teams that don't admit their mistakes to their leaders. I'll say that again, it's very important. Leaders that don't admit their mistakes to their teams have teams that don't admit their mistakes to their leaders. And how bad is that? If you're a team leader, you have to know what's happening. You have to know all the creative possible ideas. You have to know the mistakes they're doing it. You have to give the example. You have to be vulnerable. You have to admit your mistakes. You have to look inside yourself first so you can understand who you are, so you can admit and show to them. Admitting your mistakes, admitting that you're a human being is very, very powerful, not just in personal life, but in professional life. You can see here, sometimes we try to be the superhero leader, right? Mary Joy De La Rose is saying psychological safety happens when we practice compassion. Also, yes, very, very important. Create empathy and compassion. When we create empathy and compassion, the psychological safety happens also. So the superhero leader is that one that never fails. He's always there. He has a very, very good intention. Don't forget that. Very, very good intention. But it's hidden behind the title. He's ready to answer. He's a professional, has a professional approach. Tensions are avoided, of course, but the vulnerable leader is exposed. He knows and he communicates to his teams, to his team members, that he also has some difficulties. And what he does, and we'll talk about it later, he asks for feedback. So, going a little bit deeper now, what happens when you want to be vulnerable is you have to look inside yourself. And that is very, very, very hard. It's like this hidden door in your house that you have to open, and you don't know what you're going to find inside. So you have to be, how do I say this? You have to have courage to open the door and go there. And so I'm just going to take the presentation out. And so I'm going to show you that sometimes we have to be ourselves and take the suit, at least this jacket, that's all I'm taking. Take the jacket out and find out that inside yourself there's a secret door. And when you find that secret door, you have to go in. It's very dark. It's very dark. It's very dark inside my secret door. And you know what? It's very messy. There's a lot of things that I put inside that I didn't want to see. But being vulnerable is going inside our basement, right here, and admitting, accepting what we are. Because inside there, it's dark. It's hard to see. I might see things that I don't like. It's messy, but it's a part of me. The same thing here. It's a part of us. We have to accept ourselves so we can show ourselves to others also. So that is vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is being strong. That is the real superhero. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna put the next one. Okay, here it is. Tip number 9, ask for feedback. When you're asking for feedback, you're practicing vulnerability also, right? Yes, you're practicing vulnerability. You need to ask for feedback. Feedback improves. You can improve your way of communicating. Sometimes we communicate in a way that it's not the best way that our team understands what we want to send to our team, the message, right? And sometimes they don't tell us what they really like. Why? Because there's no psychological safety. When we ask for feedback, what happens is they also ask for feedback, and that's what we want to improve. So tip number 10 is measure psychological safety. How do you measure psychological safety in your team? Well, I'll tell you in 1 minute. First, I'm going to ask you, what is your perception as a leader? And we have in the room leaders, CEOs, directors, and we have people that don't have these leadership roles, but also work. They have teammates, they have families. Leaders, we can be leaders in our work, in our family, with our friends. So what I want to ask you is, I want you to measure your psychological safety of your team, your perception, okay? How does your team perform in this attribute? If you're not a leader, if you don't have a team, you think in your family, okay? Is your family at ease to tell everything they want to you? Do you have that perception? Yes or no? So 0, I'm gonna put the poll here. You're gonna put 0 if there's no psychological safety in your team, 5 if it's an average, and 10 if it's high. If it's something in between, you choose, okay? So I'm gonna put the poll. You can start voting right now, okay? We can see it live here, I hope. Okay, 3, 4, 10. Okay, you can see the live results, right? Let's wait for more results to come. Very even. You have a lot on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So this is the first part of everything, of management. If you want to manage a team, if you want to manage a company, the first part, if you want to manage yourself, the first part is awareness. You have to be aware of what's happening. That's the first emotional intelligence skill, one of the most important. And then when you're aware, you can manage. So if you're a team leader, or if you're a company leader, if you want to manage a company, can you manage a company without being aware of what's happening in the company? No. So you can't manage your emotions if you're not aware of what's happening inside yourself. It's the same thing. Okay, let's see the results. A lot of different results. We have with 0, we have on 1 we have 0%, but we have with 2 mostly 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll end the poll right now. Go back here. Okay, thank you, Origin, for clarifying that. Okay, so now you have the perception, you can measure it. Since you can measure it, how can you measure it? This is one question. You can ask your team, how confident are you that you won't receive retaliation or criticism if you admit an error or make a mistake? It's one possible question. And sometimes when I say to leaders, ask this question to your team, they say to me, hey, if I ask that question, maybe they're not going to be true. They're going to say yes, and I'm going to have a different opinion, right? They're going to mislead me. And then I ask him or her, the leader, I ask, well, if you think that, I think you have the awareness already, right? If you think that of your team, they're not going to be true. You have the awareness already. You can pass this survey and start doing things to get the psychological safety, right? If you think there's psychological safety in your team, okay, now you do the survey and you'll get the results, and you'll be surprised how true people can be. Okay, you'll be surprised. People will be very true to yourself. Okay, mainly. So here are the tips that we talked about. Pomodoro is not very, it's a little mistake here. These are the tips that we talked about, and the most important thing is practice, practice, practice. That's the most important thing. It's like if you go to the gym once, you're not going to be fit. The same thing in emotional intelligence. If you try these methods, if you work on emotional intelligence skills once a week, it's not going to work. You have to do it every single day, because what you are training is your brain. That's where everything happens. And we have the second brain, but that's another issue. And so you have to practice. One thing important is sometimes people come to me and say, hey, Ricardo, you are an emotional intelligence speaker and trainer, so I guess you're never sad, you don't lose your temper, so it's perfect, you must be amazing, right? And I say, no, you're totally wrong. You're totally wrong. Just because I'm an emotional intelligence speaker and trainer, it doesn't mean I don't go down. Everybody goes down. The difference is not how many times we go down. Emotional intelligence, what gives us is how fast we can come up again. That's the big difference. So I go down, I have challenges also in my life. I cry also, I get sad, I get angry also. That's human, okay? That's human. The difference is, are you going to use that energy, that emotion's energy, in a positive way? Remember, the stress and the performance cups. The stress, we can use it to perform. We need stress to perform, okay? So it's not the end yet. We still have one more thing that I want to talk to you. So if you have any question about what I talk here, you can send me an email. You can search me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook regarding the training, the 2 days workshop. You talk to Origin, or in the registration page that you're going to receive, or you talk to Origin Bahrain, or even you send to me and then I'll send to them, okay? Very nice. So let me see here. Okay. So what happens is we're almost at the end, and I want to tell you that when we are not aware, we enter automatic pilots. Remember at the beginning where we had the stress cup and we had the performance cup, and the stress overloads, but then we found ways to put the performance cup really full, right? But when we are not aware, all this time during the presentation, the time passed. And what happened was this. The stress cup is filled again, and the performance cup is going down. And what happens is sometimes we're not aware of it. Emotional intelligence is being aware and having first being aware, okay, now I see I'm almost overloading here. I need to do something. So now we're going to apply the tips, some of these tips and others that I have for you on emotional intelligence, and put a better balance. Just a little bit more, okay? We still need stress, remember, but now we are strong on performance. So keep training. Thank you so much. I hope you liked it. So I'll call right now Dr. Ahmed. Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. Ricardo, thank you very much for this interesting session. I personally very much enjoyed it, even though I've attended to your presentation face-to-face. I know with distinguished speakers, practical speakers like you, you don't want to be seated tied around in a chair. This is why you moved up, you went there to the hidden office there. I know that you need a stage where you can around, because I tried your, the bazaar game and, the exchange information. So in the future, after the coronavirus. But let me really express thanks and appreciation to you again. I like your presentation. And also, I've seen all the chats. They like the presentation because really you focus on two elements. To lead a team, you need to lead yourself. Because we don't need to know how, if you don't know how to lead yourself, you will not be able to lead the team, which I really very much. Thank you really for the tips and moving forward. Just a quick questions, maybe I'm sure the colleagues have there, but they will answer the questions because of the coordinators. Now, if I said, okay, with this situation, the coronavirus and so on, you give us certain tips for the organizations and so on. Now, where do you see the emotional intelligence in next 3 to 5 years? How much of emotional intelligence we need in the coming period, Where do you see it? Because you show it within the WEF, World Economic Forum, it's rank number 6, I think, 2020. Where do you see it in the future?
Okay, regarding professional.
Yes.
Regarding work, yes.
Regarding work, at work site, because what is happening, we spend 8 to 10 hours at work and 8 hours sleep. The balance is in between for life. But at work, what is going to happen? Organizations, I remember His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, ruler of Dubai, last week they mentioned the next after the corona, we need a slim organization. We need high talented people. We need really, I don't need fat organizations. So emotional intelligence stands with the work.
Yes. I have my view on this is maybe a bit different from the overall opinions. Because I hear a lot that in these times of pandemic and from now on is very important emotional intelligence. And what I think, it's not more important than it was before. The difference, the main difference is people now kind of woke up. They were in the automatic pilot, and now they have this big threat, and then they say, okay, we need skills to deal with this. Because this was not good. I felt these emotions, anxiety, fear. How can I deal with this, right? They were inside they were feeling those emotions also every day. They didn't know how to deal with those emotions every day in their professional lives. But now they're waking up. It's like we shook them. This pandemic has positive things also, of course. And this is one of them. people woke up and said, okay, now I know I need tools to lead with these emotions. How I deal with these emotions? How do I deal with my employees? How can I motivate them? How can I increase productivity because it's going down? They are afraid. How can I help them as leaders? And this is a wake-up call. So this is what I see in the next months, in the next years. I see that people are going to go need emotional intelligence. They don't need it more, but they are more aware, so they think they need it more. Okay, but it's always was important. Yes.
Very good. The importance of that. Now with the corona, the second quick question with the coronavirus, people they have seems that they have more time at home. So what is your best recommended book to read on this? What the book
Okay.
that you read? So at least within a month, 2 months, we finish that book. What do you recommend?
Okay. Can I recommend two books?
Okay, very
Oh yes,
good.
yes, yes. Okay, two books. One, because we have the Lead Yourself and Lead Your Team, right? So one book that I recommend is very powerful, very famous book, but it's still one of the best. Is Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. Okay, you might know him, and he's the most famous coach in the world. And it's a book that has some years already, but it's very, very powerful on your emotions, on the way you can control and your work alone. And I'm going to tell you that I work at home. My office is at home, and so I work at home for a few years now. So it wasn't a big shock for me, but I had big challenges by working at home. It's not easy working by yourself, right? You need motivation, you need to persevere. And a lot of people, I had all these years to adapt, right? But a lot of people were just like that, were working at home and feeling all the emotions that I felt in the beginning. So I understand it's very, very hard. And if you keep working at home, you need tools to overcome that. So that's the first book. Unlimited Power is very powerful. And the second one is about communication. If you want to lead a team, you have to know how to communicate well. There's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of perceived judgment also. So the second book is by Marshall Rosenberg, and it's called Non-Violent Communication. That's one of my favorite books on personal development, on communication, and Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, and the Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg.
Very good, Ricardo. This is almost, almost the time. What I will leave you now, maybe you can pick one or two questions from the chat so that at least you select yourself and maybe you can answer one or two questions of the chat. So at least we give at least our dear participants the chance, at least if they have question, and then we'll conclude.
Okay, let me see here. Let me see. Okay, Shakir is asking what we need to apply that in our new organization's life after COVID-19. So if I understood the question, Shakir, is what tools do we need to apply or what we need to do in the new organization's life, okay? And so one thing that I think it's very important in this new era is communication. Communication, I think it's the key. It was before, but now it's more important. You can't, there's no touch, there's a different environment, but I believe that communication is key. Because one thing is to be in person, right? Like we did last workshops. That's one thing. You see the whole body, see the whole communication. And the other thing is being in remote work. If we keep in remote work, what happens is some communication is lost. Not all, but some communication is lost. So we need to learn the skills to communicate very, very well. And another thing that is very important, and we live in a society of misinformation. That means a lot of fake news, and that is very harmful also. Why does that happen? We also live in a world that's a black or white world. We make judgments on black or white. It's a yes or no. Okay, so is these we have a lot of prejudice also. So is this coworker good or bad? Is this decision good or bad? So and the world is not black or white. Is this person competent or incompetent? No, that person is competent in certain skills, and it's maybe incompetent in another ones. So this black or white thought, it's very harmful also. We need to change that, and it's very, very important, because when we are afraid, our emotions change our perception. We see the world in a different way. That means if I'm fearful, I'm going to see a lot of things that I'm afraid. I'm going to see more things. If I'm confident, I'm going to see more things that make me confident, more positive things. So if you change your mood, you change the reality of your world. That's very powerful also. So a lot of people right now are very pessimist, because the emotion, they are not aware that the emotion are making them see more negative things. They have more negative thoughts. They have emotions that are not pleasable. And what happens is they have negative actions. Okay? So this is the main thing. Our emotions influence the way we see the world. If we change the emotions, we change our view of the world, the map. Okay? So that's very important.
Well, very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Ricardo. I'm sure there are many questions, but because of the time, we passed the time by a few minutes. Anything, last point you need to say before I close and thank the participants? Do you need to say any message you need to say, Mr. Ricardo?
Yes. What I see is, since we didn't have the education to improve our emotions and learn how to deal with the emotions, we didn't have that in schools. And since that, it's very hard to manage emotions because we didn't learn. We learned the language of mathematics. We learned the language of physics. We learned the language of, in my case, Portuguese, English, Arabic. We learned all those languages, but we didn't learn the language of emotions. That's crucial. And so what neuroplasticity is, a new concept in science, neuroscience, and that showed us that we can change the structure of our brain. That means we didn't learn in school to the language of emotions, but we can learn it if we're 20, 30, 50, or 90 years old. So start now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Ricardo, I need really to express thanks and appreciation to you for this wonderful presentation. I'm sure for such presentation you have prepared for it. So thank you very much for that. I visited Lisbon. It's beautiful, as you said. You know, I was there. I really enjoyed it. I spent a week there. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, our dear participants, all of you from all over us tonight. We've flown all the countries in Europe, Eastern Europe, in the Gulf, in Africa, in Asia, in US, and everywhere. So thank you very much. God bless you. Stay safe and healthy. God protect you. Look forward to see you in our next program, of course, next week, because we will celebrate the Eid holidays. We're celebrating, we have a holiday celebrating, but in 2 weeks time, we look forward to see you and we take you from there. And don't forget the offer mentioned by Mr. Ricardo. It's very good. Until you receive an email, and you will get all the answer, for your questions. Thank you very much. God bless you all and take care.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, and thank you everyone that came to this session. And I hope to see you in June. Thank you so much.
Okay,
See you next
bye-bye.
time. Bye-bye.
Bye.